Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the November 2025 Arizona Bass Fishing Report. Got a lot to talk about. We've got the bass transitioning from fall to winter patterns. It kind of seemed like it happened fairly quick this year. As we do this report mid-November, we've got a cold week ahead. We're really going to see those fish, I think, settle into their winter patterns. So we're going to talk about how that affects every single lake, what I've been seeing on our local lakes. As always, this fishing report is brought to you by Hatch Toyota in Show Low, Arizona. They are by far the best dealership to work with. If you're a fisherman in the valley, they'll take care of you. It's worth the drive up to Show Low if you're in the market for a Toyota, especially a Tundra like mine. Spencer Construction out of southern Arizona. If you have a construction background or if you're looking for a quality dude, looking for work, give them a look. They're a great company, fisherman owned, and they're looking for great employees. So you can look them up on Facebook or just their website, Spencer Construction LLC. And lastly, Signature Gate Systems, also out of Arizona, fisherman owned company. If you work for an apartment complex, anything that, an HOA, anything that utilizes electronic gates, make sure to give them a look if you're looking for someone to team up with and work with in that space. Kevin and the crew, they're great people, Signature Gate Systems. So, to dive into the fishing report, as always, we're going to start at Roosevelt and work our way on down the chain. Roosevelt has been fishing pretty solid lately. It's been a big swing compared to how it fished last year. We had all the dirty water come in from the rain. We had a lot of runoff. The storms were probably 6 weeks ago now. 5-6 weeks ago. I'm just throwing a number out there, but that feels about right. And the lake got dirty, especially in the salt end and some in the tonneau. The main lake stayed pretty clear in the middle of the lake. The floating debris is pretty much all gone now. That's a lot better, so that's a good thing. But we definitely saw a lot of watercolor changes. It's slowly been clearing up, not completely. I expected the shallow bite to be really wide open. And there's been somewhat of a shallow bite, but it's not been completely wide open, which definitely surprises me a little bit. The crankbite's been good. There are some shallow crankfish. There's some shallow spinnerbait fish. Even been a couple topwater fish hanging around. But overall, shallow bite's not been quite as good as I thought it would. If you are going to go shallow, something like a Berkeley Fritz side, a little square bill, flat side crankbait like that, there's not a ton of brush in the water, so you can get away with, maybe not throwing a square bill because you don't need a square bill. A square bill is going to be great at deflecting off the brush and stuff like that. Any crankbait that's got a more rounded bill is definitely designed more for rocks, and you're able to throw those things right now pretty easily. If you do get into the brushier areas, a spinnerbait's going to be really good. This time of year, ooh, I just stuck myself. This time of year, I go to a little bit heavier spinnerbait, and I'm slow rolling a lot, and that's on all of these lakes. You can slow roll this thing just over the bottom, on the bottom, crawl it through trees. It's very weedless. Great alternative to the crankbait when you're fishing shallow. Vibrating jig works as well, but again, you're going to kind of match your bait to the water clarity that you're fishing. The dirtier the water, you can throw those reaction baits all day. When you do get in the cleaner water, you definitely want to go to the reaction when you get some wind, but it might be, when it's calmer, you might have more success with slower moving baits like jigs, drop shot, stuff like that. I've been noticing a lot of fish going deep. We had a pretty epic day of fishing on a guide trip recently out deep. Caught over 100 fish. I mean, it was an awesome day. Not a lot of big ones, but anytime you go catch over 100 bass in a day, it's a pretty amazing day. Doesn't happen all the time, and we caught them on spoons for the most part out deep. Just getting on the graph, idling around, see fish, drop down and catch them. A lot of the fish are moving fast. We got lucky and found some fish that were actually sitting still, and we sat there and we whacked them all day. So it was great. Another cool bait is the power switch from Berkeley. You fish it a lot like a spoon. It's got a heavy internal jig head, and the advantage this has over the spoon is it's got a single hook. So we ended up using spoons that day because we could get them down a little bit faster, and just for sheer numbers, it worked great. But in a tournament, a lot of times I'm going to use that power switch. I'm going to fish a tournament here coming up in a week or so out there. I'll have that power switch tied on, and the reason for that is it's got a single hook. You're just going to land a higher percentage of fish that actually bite that on the big single hook over the small treble hook on a spoon. So just an alternative. If those fish are down in 40 feet, the power switch is a little slow getting to them, but if they're in 20 to 30, power switch gets to them fast enough, and I think it keeps them hooked better. You know, if you want to go for big fish, the glide bait deal is on pretty much all the lakes right now. You know, you get the right conditions, wind, rain, clouds early in the morning. The glide bait at the right time, that's a chop block. Glide bait at the right time is definitely, it's something you want to keep on the deck. And lastly, at Rosie, the deep crankbait. We've been catching a lot of fish deep crank, and I filmed a good show with Johnny Johnson the other day, throwing the deep crank. You know, a lot of those fish are in that depth range right now, and this goes for all the lakes. This is, you know, in Arizona, deep cranking season is great in the summer. There's times in the spring, but really fall and early winter is one of my favorite times to do it. Maybe my favorite time to do it. So the deep cranks, keep them on the deck, throw them when the depth's appropriate. Down to Apache, there still are some fish up shallow, you know, catching some fish out of the grass and stuff, but it's slowing down immensely. That lake, you know, it's always worth going to Apache. Again, we talk about it all the time. You've got less people out there. It's a beautiful lake. There's a chance for a big fish. There's no doubt that place slows down in the wintertime. It's at its peak spring through fall. The wintertime, it slows down more so. Like in my opinion, the lakes that don't slow down in the wintertime in Arizona are Roosevelt, Bartlett, and honestly Pleasant, which is surprising. But the Florida strain lakes, the Saguaro, Canyon, Apache, they get pretty tricky in the wintertime. And Apache maybe doesn't slow down quite as much as Canyon and Saguaro, but it'll slow down a little bit. It's fish to be caught, but don't expect to go there and catch 100 fish. Same stuff as always. A lot of the stuff I talked about at Roosevelt, the water's still pretty clear at Apache, so you get a windy day, early in the morning, throw the cranks, throw a jerkbait, phenomenal jerkbait lake. I talk about that a lot. But, you know, later in the day, drop shot, jig, you know, an A-rig crawling it around is a good way to catch fish. And the fish, Apache is one of those that got so much it's got so much different cover in it, right? We talked about the grass. You've got bluffs, flat banks, 45-degree rocky banks. They're all going to hold some fish right now. It's the time of year where the fish are spread out a little bit everywhere. I'm hoping the spoon bite gets better at Apache this year. Really wasn't great last year. I've had some incredible winters out there with the jigging spoon in the past. I'm hoping it's going to come back this year. We're definitely going to try it out a couple times. I'll keep you guys posted. If you do get out there and whack them on a spoon, let me know. Please let me know. But I'm going to give that a shot really soon as well. Canyon, couple fish being caught at Canyon. The water's cleared up. It's back to normal again. If you're after a big fish, it's worth a shot. I would put it right there with Saguaro right now as far as the quality. A lot less boats out at Canyon, so if you're trying to get away from the boats, good idea. Saguaro has been getting absolutely hammered, and as usual, hit or miss. We had some absolutely crazy days there this fall, good crazy days, and then lately, you know, we've had some really, really slow days. I've had 2 very, very, very slow days in the last 2 weeks out there. So, you know, you go out there, you know that you're risking not catching much, but you're also giving yourself a chance at a big fish. There's still some grass, a few fish left in the grass. As the bait starts coming out of the grass, like the bluegills and the shad, you're going to start seeing less fish in that stuff. They're going to start going deeper. You know, you got some fish in the habitats. You got some fish in that shallow to mid-depth rock. There still are some fish up there, but we are definitely going to see more and more fish getting on shad, going out deep, chasing that bait. It's going to be all about electronics here before too long, or a lot of it will be about electronics before too long. So very hit or miss there. That's all. That's pretty much the scoop at Sag. Just kind of getting tougher by the week, but you know, still always a chance to catch a big one. Over at Bartlett, you know, it's been hit or miss. The water came up a bunch. You know, you talk to one guy that does okay, and then I had a bunch of buddies out there last week. They had a really tough day. So for Bartlett standards, right? Like, I mean, you go to Bartlett and you catch 6 fish. That's a pretty tough day. You know, you go to Saguaro and catch 6 fish. It was like, okay, that was cool. You know, caught 6, probably got a good 1 or 2 in the mix. Bartlett, you know, you go there with higher expectations. So I don't anticipate that thing staying tough long. You know, the shallow bite, always going to be, it's always an option on that lake. I always like to start with a reaction when I go out there, but the shad stuff this time of year will be, I mean, they'll eat a jig right now, of course, but the shad stuff is definitely worth throwing, especially if you have some of the dirtier water, the shallow cranks, the square bills, spinner baits, vibrating jigs, and If you want to go offshore, look for some of that offshore rock, or the bluffs that have, some boulders and chunk rock mixed in. Throw a jig up on the walls, throw a drop shot up towards the bank and drag it back slow. You could do a lot of different stuff there, but I don't think that thing's going to stay tough too long. Over at Pleasant, I haven't heard a heck of a lot from over there, and I haven't been over there a ton myself, so I don't want to go too deep into it. I will be out there next week, actually in 2 weeks, so I might sneak out there for a day before that. I was trying to get out there last month. It just hasn't happened. So with all that being said, if I were to go to Pleasant now, or when I go without any prior knowledge on it, recent knowledge, I'm going to be looking back in the creek arms. This is the time of year that the fish like to go back into the creeks. The river, until it closes usually, I think, December 15th. You've got until then to get up there. Humbug, Castle Creek, Coles, all the, your Bass Bay, Goose Bay, Cottonwood, all that stuff is good this time of year. The fish do tend to push back into that. There are some fish that stay deep on the main lake, eating craws on the points and humps and stuff like that. And you'll drop shot those fish, catch them on a finesse jig, free rig. Really, drop shot's the way to go. But if you want to throw reaction, go back into the creeks, throw crankbaits, A-rigs, anything that looks like a shad. Dirtier the water, the brighter you want your bait to be. Clear water, you want to keep your bait looking pretty natural. And that's how you're going to want to fish Pleasant this time of year. They do like to get in the channels. This is the time of year we can catch some fish on a jigging spoon. Done a lot of damage fishing the jigging spoon in 30, 40 feet in the creek channels this time of year. Spoon, drop shot as well. If you want to be really slow rolling A-rig, you can do that. That's a good way to get some big bites. And then again, the deep crankbait works all over that lake this time of year, when you can get it to the right depth to the fish. So that's kind of what we got going on. I got a couple more openings for guide trips in December, and then we'll be booking for next year. So if anyone wants to try to sneak out for an electronics trip or just a fishing trip before the year's over, send me an email. Go to my website, joshbertrandfishing.com, and I will be back at you guys soon. Thanks again for watching.